Hello and welcome back to Career Magic with Nitin Kulkarni. In this series called Starting Your Career, I talk about things that a fresh graduate needs to be mindful of. Someone who is just finishing their education and getting into the workforce, it's a very, very big change. The reason this is a big change and I'm doing a separate series is because this is a huge transition from going from education into the workforce. When you are getting educated, the entire focus is on yourself, getting the most value for yourself, doing the best you can, etc. Whereas as soon as you get into the workforce, now it's really not only about you, it's about the organization you work for, and you continue there and you do well there, you grow over there, based on the outcomes you produce for that organization. So you first have to produce those outcomes, produce value, and that then you get value in return. It's a very different dynamic, and you have to constantly be thinking about the organization. So far I've covered two things. One is I talked about the mindset of getting ready to be hired, and that process starts well before the interview or the resume, where you do a lot of research about the company, understand what makes them go, what makes them tick, what are their pain areas, what are their challenges, what are the opportunities they are pursuing, and therefore where do you fit in and how you can help them. The more specific you can get, for example, if you are applying for a particular division in a company, in a particular department of a division, and you understand the pain areas and the opportunities for that particular small group, then you can position yourself even better. So the more specific you get, the more research you can do in depth, the better positioned you will be to position yourself perfectly for that opportunity. So we talked about that first off. And then in the previous video, I spoke about creating a killer resume, where I talked about the structure of the resume, the three sections, the formatting, etc. And what I'm going to do in this particular video is I'm going to get a little more specific about the resume part. So this is not going to be a very long video. I'm going to share with you a couple of examples of how to think about it, how to put it together. And in order to do that, I'm going to go back. The easiest thing for me to do is to go back to my own graduation, and the company that I was applying in, the sort of companies that were coming in for campus recruitment, etc. And I'm just going to show you how I would think about it. So the company where I got hired from my campus interview was Maruti Suzuki, the automobile giant. And let me tell you, if I had to do it again, what I would do. This is not what I did at that time. I didn't have this sort of guidance. But if I had to do it again, this is what I would do. Remember, the resume is a device you use to get shortlisted for an interview. You are hardly ever going to be hired without an interview. So the objective of the resume is to get called for the interview, to create enough interest in your profile to get called for the interview. And then later I'm going to talk about how to prepare for the interview and what you ought to do in the interview. But right now I'm going to talk about how do you put the resume together. So let's take this case, and I'm going to illustrate two different things here. Me applying for two different positions in two different kinds of companies, and how I would create pieces of my resume. So let's talk about Maruti Suzuki first. An automobile company, I know it's an automobile company. I also know way back when I was applying 1984, it was a new automobile company. It was creating a very different kind of thing in India. India at that time only had automobiles from Hindustan Motors and Premier Automobiles, very, very old, antiquated automobiles, and Maruti Suzuki was bringing about a huge change in the industry. It was a very exciting company to go to work for, and many of us were applying. So how would I think about it, and how would I put my resume together? So as I said, the top part, so on your screen now you will see the summary part of my resume, which is the first part, which draws attention to me. And this is how I would actually put it together. So Let me read this and highlight important parts of this summary for you. So what I'm saying here is I am a mechanical engineer. So if you have not yet finished your degree, if this is campus recruitment, you can just say I'm studying to be a mechanical engineer. Yeah, that which is okay. So here I'm saying I'm a mechanical engineer with a keen interest in automobile design and manufacturing. Now these are things that would be of interest to the company. I'm not lying here. I did at that time have a keen interest in automobile design and manufacturing. Now this would interest the hiring company. Then I go on to say that during my graduate degree, automobile engineering and machine design were among my favorite courses. Now these are courses, these are areas of study that would be relevant to Maruti Suzuki. Then I go on to say and evince my interest. I go on to say I want to build a career in the automobile industry with a company that promises to bring the latest in automobile technology in the Indian market. That is what this company is doing, and that actually does excite me. And so what it tells the company, the reader of this resume, is that I'm really interested in what they are doing and it's in line with my thinking. Then I go on to say that about how I can contribute, why I'm a good fit for you. With my passion for automobiles and my ability to learn quickly and work hard, I would love to contribute to the company's success and grow with it. So therefore, call me. I really want to work with you, and here is the reason why I would be a good fit. So in 2 or 3 short sentences, I have actually made a case for them to call me for the interview. Very specific, targeted, tailored to this opportunity. It's not a general resume. After this, what I will go on to do is, as I said, the second section is going to be my education history. So I'm going to talk about how I did in my BTech so far. I'm going to talk about my 12th standard, and that should be good enough. After that, I have to link to this summary and provide them evidence of why I'm saying the things that I am saying over here. The first thing I would do, so in that section, I'm going to talk about projects, any extra courses that I did, and any extra activities I participated in. So in my case, the first thing I would talk about here is, during my IIT study years, there was a conference which was hosted by IIT Delhi. It was called the International Federation for the Theory of Machines and Mechanisms, where researchers and technologists from around the world had come, participated, presented papers. And what I had done was I was part of the exhibition subcommittee for that, and I had worked really hard to put together an exhibition. I had visited companies like BHEL and all, created exhibits and all. So the next thing I would talk about is provide a summary of my role in that project, in that exhibition, and talk about my passion for mechanical engineering in that, which really comes through with what I did. And then talk about my role. So I can actually show 2 or 3 things in that description. One, my passion for mechanical engineering. 2, I can show them how I took initiative and did this work for this, and how my work helped it become successful. The third thing I can talk about is me. Remember in the first video I talked about what companies look for, the qualities and behavior. So in the third one, I would talk about my hard work and obstacles I overcame in order to do that work. So it's connected with this company because of mechanical engineering, and then the other soft attributes of hard work, overcoming obstacles, and putting this together. That would be the first thing I would do. The second one I would do is my BTech project, which was a computer simulation project, but it was it related to walls of a compressor. So I would describe that project, and what I would do there is I would talk about how I collaborated with my project partner Sandeep Dongre, how I also collaborated outside my project. I used resources from one of my colleagues who was who had created a software for graphing. So I would describe that project and highlight the fact that it was a mechanical engineering project, and I would highlight the fact that I collaborated with this group of people in order to create that project and what sort of outcomes that project produced. In addition to that, I would then go on to describe a few other things. I used to read up a lot on automobile engineering. So I remember there were books by a guy called William H. Krauss, lots of them in our library. And I would then talk about my extra reading and knowledge acquisition, and some of the things that really fascinated me. After that, then I would talk about other projects and so on. So I would give a lot of them. But the first three things I talk about there are very relevant to this particular job opportunity, and it is very relevant to this company and for the sorts of attributes and characteristics that they would look for in a new hire. So that is number one. I hope you're starting to see. Now, there was another company that used to hire during that time. I'm not really sure if they came to IIT Delhi for recruitment, but I do know that many of my friends from my batch did go and work over there for some time. It was a company called Tata Burroughs Limited. So it was a Tata company, and they were in the field of software development. They developed software for companies. Burroughs were a fairly large mainframe computer manufacturer at that time, and a lot of companies used to use Burroughs computers, and Tata Burroughs provided software development services on that platform. So if I were writing a resume for Tata Burroughs, let's say I'm applying to them, it would look very different. Here is what my summary there would look like. So you have it right here on your screen. So it would start very similarly. I am a mechanical engineer, but I would go on to say with a keen interest in software development. Again, this is not a lie. I was very, very interested in software development at that time, and eventually I ended up doing a career in IT. So this is not a lie, this is true. During my graduate degree, now here the things have changed a little bit, because what I want to do here is I want to talk about my credentials in software development. So I'm going to say, during my graduate degree, I took on extra courses to learn computer programming, and my final BTech project was a computer simulation project. This is very different from what I wrote in the first one. I want to build a career in software development for global businesses. I know that Tata Burroughs caters to global corporations, and I'm stating here that I'm very interested in doing that. With my passion for software and my ability to learn quickly and work hard, I would love to contribute to the company's success and grow with it. Now remember, this is for Tata Burroughs, and you can see how different this summary looks from the first one, the one that I wrote for Maruti. The next part of the resume would be the educational qualifications, which would be the same as what it would be there in the Maruti resume, no change. But the next one would change. Why? Because instead of talking about, earlier I was talking about my contributions to that conference, the exhibition setup and so on. Here I wouldn't talk about that. It's really not that relevant for this opportunity. So it is, some parts of it are, but it's the more relevant one is my computer simulation project. So I would describe the computer simulation project, and I would describe how the computer simulation actually brought life to the project and how it helped. And the fact that my passion for computer software really made that happen. So that would be my second, that would be my first piece of evidence for my passion for software and my right fitness for the job. The second thing I would talk about is maybe some other projects I did when I did my courses in computer programming, and what sort of things I learned from them, etc. I would provide a description. And then eventually I may talk about this project, the conference project, but there, instead of highlighting my mechanical engineering passion, etc., I would highlight my passion for making things happen, for contributing to efforts which, where I can actually make a contribution. I would highlight those skills. So the wording will change, the emphasis will change, but I would use the same thing because I can highlight some of my ability to work hard, to learn new things and contribute. And then I would add other things as relevant, but the initial ones would be highly relevant to the summary. The summary would be highly relevant to the company and the job opportunity which relates to me. So I hope that is helpful. One other thing I do want to share with you is that this style of making a resume and doing research takes more time. It's hard work, but if you want to be successful, if you want to differentiate yourself from the competition, and there's a lot of competition for the really good jobs, if you want to differentiate yourself and stand out, you have to put in this hard work, and this hard work does not go waste. It really pays off. Okay. So that's it on this video. I'll see you on the next one with the next topic.